Greetings everyone, my name is Saruchuma for Financial Insight Zambia and welcome to this exciting episode of the FIZ Show Season 3. Right now I have a very exciting guest, Mr. Yangeni Chendela. Yangeni, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you, Cedric?
Hi, glad to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So I will tell us a bit about yourself and your journey and what got you to this point.
Okay, first and foremost, I think I'd like to thank you for putting this one together. I think we've been trying to catch up for a while since last year, but finally we're here. So thank you so much to your team for this opportunity. This is a very interesting question. You can go in any place and they'll ask you, who are you? Tell us about yourself. As short as it may sound, but it's very, very difficult just to say who you are. So probably I would say professional-wise, I'm an HR practitioner. That's something that stands out as well. I'm a family man. I am married to one wife and one child at the moment. We're hoping we can move the numbers to 5. But also, in terms of my background, I studied human resource. It's something that I'm passionate about, and I'm still trying to see how much I can take human resource. I come from a family of 10, 5 ladies, 5 gents. We lost 3, 7 are still around. So basically, I am a strong Catholic. I think that should come out because I've seen some other colleagues that are so proud of their religions. I am proud of my Christianity as well.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. So, I will tell us some of the defining moments of your life and what are some of the key principles that led to you becoming successful.
Okay, while I was coming here, I asked myself to say, most of the time when you go somewhere, they will ask you a similar question. So I was asking myself, if I asked Sani Zulu, for instance, if I asked Mzinga Meru today, that are you successful? Will they say yes? Chances are that they'll say no, because I think it's a journey, right? So what you may term as successful may not be called successful by another person. So probably the way I would like to answer that is, what are some of the defining moments which have helped me to be where I am today? Cedric, you'll be surprised that one defining moment for me was when I lost employment. That's when a lot of things changed. Okay, my first job from Zambia, I started 2010. When I lost it in 2014, I think that sparked some energy in me. But that was not just enough. I joined another employer, and 2 years down the line, again, I lost employment without planning for it. I think at this time now, I was thinking, will this employment be my thing? Because I keep losing it. As if that was not enough, my third employer as well, unceremoniously, I also lost that employment in the middle of something. So you see, these 3 losses, I think, sparked different energy for me. So it taught me that I needed to invest in myself more, because without myself, it was very difficult to survive on the street. So, and at any time, the employer could leave you. So the question was, how was I going to survive? I think it gave me now a lot of these ideas on how to be independent, on how to just work, not relying on your job to say, because the job was not guaranteed. That's the biggest lesson that I learned. And those, I would call them my most defining moments, because they changed how I looked at life and how I related with my employers.
Oh, that's really, really amazing. And also, you refer to yourself as not your usual HR. Are you able to tell us about what led you down pursuing the career path, firstly in the HR profession, as well as why you refer to yourself as not your usual HR?
Okay, I know now in Zambia we all agree that the career departments do not do a lot of work. When we are leaving high school, I think I would say maybe 98% of the people, they do not even know what they will study. Okay, making it worse, when you go to uni, actually, you have that 1 year when you all be put in like general subjects, then before you make points. So at that stage, I'll be lying if I said I had already shaped what I wanted to be, because now it seemed your choice of a program was dependent on the points that you accumulate. Okay, so I really wanted to do accounts. I think I thought accountants were rich people and accountants were making money.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do that. But along the way, I think I met a few individuals, and the only question I kept asking them was, "What is it that you studied for you to become who you are?" The same thing you are asking me, and human resource kept being mentioned at least by more than two, three people, and for me, for a very long time, I did not have a specific course or program that I wanted to pursue. All I wanted was to become a manager. I think so. So I kept asking. I want to be a manager. I want to, because growing up, when you hear a manager, and I grew up from a soccer, so you realize that you see a bank manager, a Zesco manager, like these were the people that we looked up to. So for me, oh, what was on my mind was becoming a manager. But the question was to manage what? That was, I think, the big issue. So I found myself in human resource. I will not say that I chose human resource. I think I found myself in human resource as an alternative because it was affordable to study human resource than to pay for an accountant's course. But along the way, I think I fell in love with it because the lectures would hype us so much. You'll be managers, you guys, you're the CEO of organizations because everybody will come to you. Human resources, this beautiful. So I think that now just changed how I looked at human resource. 13 years down the line now, we now have what we define as not your usual HR. And I think this is just a tagline that I adopted some years ago. And it's because, like I said, some of the separations that I had, actually three of them, I think I was standing on firm grounds, disagreeing with probably the decision makers. So from that, I realized that if you're really strong in what you believe in, you will risk losing employment. That's when I realized then I'm not a usual HR because I was able to stand firm and be able to defend certain situations to an extent that they costed me my own job. Then, coupled with my passion to see people grow, then I realized that for you to see an individual grow, you really needed not to do ordinary things. You needed to go an extra mile. Should you have a problem with an employee, go to them, reach out to them, find out what is happening to them. That's when we define, say, no, we won't be the usual HR, but we'll be the unusual HR who aims to make a difference in the lives of others.
That's very interesting. You mentioned seeing people grow.
Yeah.
And one thing of note about you is you like to identify some promising young youth and then supporting them and actually helping them in what they do. Where does this drive come from? And what exactly led to you being so supportive of this promising young youth? And what is the importance of them as well to the growth of the organization as well as economic growth in the broader context?
Okay, I think I'm a product of being supported by somebody senior. Okay, when I started my career, I was very young. I was 21, and I didn't even know what it meant to be working. I had this lady from work, Madam Patience Shavana. She really held my hand. That she was actually calling me small boy. So whatever she's doing, yeah, small boy, come here. She gave me the support. And there will be moments when I felt that the corporate world was not going to be my thing because it looked like people were so busy, focused on achieving their own things. And you just coming from college without any knowledge or insights. Because remember, the knowledge that we get from colleges and universities sometimes needs a little bit of shaping for you to be able to produce particular work. So for me, looking at how I started work, I realized that it took somebody's effort to help me stabilize at work. Therefore, I made it a must that I will do the same to the next person because I keep hearing this, especially on the mainstream medias where people are saying the quality of universities that we have today, the quality of the education that we have is not so good. But I keep asking, what is it that you as an individual you are doing to help the situation? Because we all know that we keep hearing this thing. So for me, I don't want to be part of that team that keeps on pointing at a problem. I want to be a part of a team which is helping to find solutions. And I will tell you, Cedric, that I think you've seen it, that we have a lot of highly motivated individuals. We have a lot of brilliant minds. The only thing they need is that give them a bit of direction. Okay, and that is the harm that I feel I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years. So for me, what drives me is seeing that young person changing their course of life. And you find that most of the young people, like I mentioned earlier, the programs they started, it's not that that's what they wanted to do. They have something that they're passionate about, but because of the way our universities are structured, they ended up doing programs which not even themselves are passionate about. So that's where I come in and tell them, do not be confined in the career or in the program that you're beyond your qualification. You're beyond what you studied. You can become anything. And we've seen some very good examples recently where even nurses now can become public speakers. We've seen pharmacists who can become corporate relation managers. We've seen a number of people that are changing the course. It's because we need to drive that. So we shouldn't be confined to the qualifications that we had.
Oh, that's very, very amazing. And in the context of the organization, youth development is very important.
Absolutely.
So, about tell us about how important this is for you when you are actually operating in your HR role in the organization.
So for me, wherever I go, I try to identify what we call the training programs for individuals. I always make sure I've got interns around that we are training, because it's from the interns that you have potential employees. Okay, so that I drive that agenda, and for me, whenever I go to meetings with fellow colleagues as HRs, I only ask them, are you training somebody? Are you showing somebody some work? Because if you're not doing it, who's gonna do it? So for me, wherever I've worked, they'll tell you that I always make sure we are training somebody. The other day, I was just counting how many HR assistants that I've had in my entire career. Even when I was an HR officer, I recruited somebody to be in another department, but I attached them to my office. I remember when my boss came from Lusaka to the corporate belt then, and she was shocked that she found I didn't declare it that I had a trainee in my office, but I was doing it, okay? And she went and said, Yangeni is a big boss. He also employs people that is helping. But for me, it's not about being a boss. It's about having people around you. And even when I'm doing my programs, what I do is when I have an event or a show, I'll have 3-4 people, young people that I'm working with. Why? They have to see how it is done. And it's only when you allow people to do it themselves will they have the capacity to be independent. So for me, I believe we are conduit. As leaders, we are conduits to help young people to see the other side of life, because somebody did the same for you. So the question is, how are you doing it to somebody?
That's really amazing. Also, interesting to know that you're a published author of the book Become Unstoppable.
Yeah.
I better tell us briefly about this book and what led you to writing this book.
Okay, I know now a few people. I know that Zambia is sitting around 19 million people plus, and I've only sold 4,000 copies. So I still have a huge market for this book, so I won't stop talking about it, okay, until at least we sell 1 million copies. So I wouldn't say this is something that I planned to say I will write a book. And so I think how it all started, I think from a time immemorial, I have been a writer, but I didn't know, was this something that I would channel into a talent or something, okay? I remember even back at high school, when we were having these plays or poetry and other things, I found myself contributing to those. I remember in 2005 or 2006, sometime there, I wrote a poetry that even reached national levels. And for me at that stage, it was just a raw talent. I didn't even know what that meant. So coming to this book, in 2018, I changed my employers. I joined one of the big audit firms in the world. Okay, so when I joined there, I think it was the first time that I had the real test of the corporate world, because the systems were very different. The expectation from my supervisor was very different. So every time I wrote an email or a letter, my supervisor kept sending the work back and said, Yangeni, you needed to improve. Yangeni, your grammar was not good. So I kept asking myself, I've been working for 10 years. And today, being taught about grammar, I thought that was not it. But I realized my supervisor was from the United Kingdom. So the way she explained things was very different from the Zambian Yangeni. So now she said I needed to improve, or else it was going to affect my work. So, and one of the ways that I was taught to improve was to read books and to do a lot of podcasts and find things on internet. But I found reading to be something that was very good, and it's from there that I read a number of books. Then now this idea of me writing started manifesting as well. So every time I would read a book, I would take notes. So I found that I had 3-4 diaries where I had kept all these lessons. Not until I met some young man, Roderick Mutale, I think really helped me on this journey. So when I told him about it, and I saw that he had written a book, and he was so young, so I said, "You come. I have some notes I've been putting together. Here are the notes, and I want you to produce a book for me." The young man was a bit stubborn then. He said, "No, I can't do that for you. You still have to do it yourself." So I said, "What do you mean? I will help you perfect your work, but you still have to do it." So I asked him at what cost. Then he told me it was going to cost me about $1,000, which was like $25,000. So I said, "Fine, I'll pay you tomorrow. All I want is my book to be done." But it didn't happen like that. The young man kept sending me back and telling me, "Go find a story to put here. Go do this, go do that." So that's when now we came back with this book, Become Unstoppable. Oh. So maybe just talking about the book, it's a self-help book. I'm a strong believer of self-development, that if you do not invest in yourself, there's no person on this earth who will invest in you. If your employers are doing it, well and good. But before the employer, there is you. And after the employer, there will be you. You will be amazed to know that employers are willing to pay any amount to any individual who has invested in themselves. Okay? So for me, that's why I wrote this book. I realized that most individuals thought it was a responsibility of their parents, their guardians, their employers to send them to school or invest in them. Yes, to some extent, parents have got that duty, but believe me, it is up to you to invest in yourself, so that when you invest in yourself, then you become more attractive. The people that have invested in themselves are more marketable, and they are able to sell and get paid anything. So for me, this is what I've been challenging people in this book. I've also realized that we are grappling with debt as a nation. So for me, I covered that topic in chapter 3. How can you live a life free of debt? And is it even possible? Most say no, it's not possible to live a life free of debt. I've met people that have never borrowed. Okay, or if they have borrowed, they've used the money wisely. So those are some of the things that I've spoken about. And last but not the least, some of the things I've touched is that how do you become the most sought after individual? Everybody wants to be that go-to person, but what does it take for individuals to be looking for you? So it's these people that have invested in themselves, the people who are knowledgeable, the people who have solutions to problems people are facing. Those are the most sought after individuals. So in this book, you realize that we are equipping you to become the most sought after individual. So that's why you may realize that wherever you go, somebody will be asking, "Oh, do you know Yangeni?" Why? Because we're trying to manifest what we've put in this book.
Oh, that's very, very amazing. So looking forward, what would you like your legacy to be? What would you want Yangeni Chendela to be associated with?
Okay, when you hear the word legacy, most of the time you're thinking, "I'm going to die today or tomorrow." Death is inevitable. All of us, we will leave this planet. That is a must. But for me, if you see, the mantra that I use is that make today be the best day of your life. Okay? If anything happened today while as I left home, I shouldn't have any regrets that I wish I lived. I wish I went to this place. I wish I ate this meal. So for me, I want to be remembered as somebody who helped individuals to discover their hidden potential. Okay? And then for me, wherever I go, is I believe that all of us, there's some gold in us, but it has to take somebody to unlock that gold. And I've seen a lot of people, they're struggling with confidence. And you realize that the reason why some people are not confident, it's because they've not invested enough of their time into knowing things. When you're speaking about something that you know, you'll be very confident. assuming you asked me an economic question here, how are these parameters moving? Actually, I was even afraid when I was coming, because in your show, I've seen you ask all these big questions. So assuming you asked me such a question, I was going to struggle, because that is not my forte. That's not the area that I'm so good at. But if you invest in something and you know it better, then you build confidence. So for me, that's what I'm aiming for, is to help that individual from his soccer to say, yes, it is possible. If this Yangeni did it, I can do it. That's why in my book, I believe lesson 43, I said the Chacobaner's child will one day wear a white shirt. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. It doesn't matter the school that you went to. To some extent, it's about what you decide to do as an individual. Yes, the Chacobaner's child will one day wear a white shirt. I strongly believe in that.
Wow, that's really amazing. So in closing, what is your word to the youth out there who is watching you and admiring all these amazing achievements of Yangeni and trying to reach or achieve something for themselves as well? That same Chacobaner's child who maybe now has not a white shirt on, what do you have to say for them?
Okay, I will tell you one thing. Never be mad with yourself if things are not the way you expect them to be. Why am I saying that? Sometimes we think you need to have a formula for life, No. Sometimes things just work out good for other people. There are people that have worked so hard for so many years, but it has taken other people just one transaction for their lives to change. So probably you are waiting for that one transaction. But in the meantime, as you are waiting for that life-changing moment, dreams do not just happen. Have a plan for your success. And be patient. This is a marathon that we are in. It's not a sprinting race, okay? Never just look at a person and you have no idea what they were doing 15 years ago, because nobody is bringing their bad memories in front of the camera. Most of us, what you see, probably I took 1 hour to choose this kind of a suit, but what you're going to see today is this beautiful suit, not realizing how bad my wardrobe has remained for me to select this suit. So please be patient with yourself, and when your right time comes, what others achieved in years can be achieved in one single transaction.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a very, very profound conversation with you. Thank you so much for your time.
I really appreciate it, and thank you so much. And then I apologize for having been delaying to come here. This has been exciting, and I'm so happy to be here.
All right, thank you. This has been Sedu Chuma for Financial Insight Zambia. Get to know.